About quarterbacks, obviously camp started the other night. Taven, is he going to be available this week or just kind of wait and see?
I think we're going to have all hands on deck. So now it comes down to who gives us the best chance, and honestly, probably that'll come down to coach's decision and who practices better this week.
Scott, you guys are at the midway point of the season. How do you assess where you guys are right now at this point, and what do you like, what do you don't like, and where do you think you guys will improve in the second half?
You know, it sounds like Coach speak. There was a lot of positive to take from Saturday, and that's true. Really liked the fight of our team, and I told them that afterwards. Yeah, I knew this year was going to be a growth process because just of our relative inexperience and 70 new players. It would be really nice to be 4-2, 5-1 right now, and we had our chances. Like I said, I don't think we were outmatched in any one of those 3 games. We just got to execute better, and that falls on the coaching staff and the players, just to keep finding ways throughout this season to keep improving, and we're going to have a chance in every game. So there's no reason we can't do some special things here down the road.
You mentioned needing to execute better and keep fighting. Those have been in very close games for the past 3 weeks. What needs to change to get over this slump that you guys are in? And what's the confidence level in the room?
I think the confidence level is fine. You know, I really liked the frustration, but togetherness of the team in the locker room after the game. When you're learning new things and coming together as a football team, it's not always going to happen the same. It's going to happen different every time. And when you're not experienced, then new situations can affect you different every time. You know, at Kansas State, I think we start very fast. At Kansas, we did start fast, and then one thing that's common is just key mistakes at the wrong times right now. And like I said, we're going to keep coaching those things, but we kind of got to be in those situations and experience them, and then handle them better the next time.
You just mentioned mistakes. What has to change during a week of practice to reduce or eliminate the mistakes you're seeing on Saturdays?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot, and you know, it's not changing the formula. The formula has worked and will work, but if we need to alter it and not be doggedly committed to one way of doing things, then we will, and we'll find little ways to tweak practice to make sure that we're getting exactly what we need. You know, it's hard to recreate with the defense like we played last week. It's hard to recreate all the looks that we were going to get from them because it was a little different every time, and that's the biggest thing is when the looks aren't exactly what we practiced. You still just got to fall back on your rules and execute, and I think that's where we can get a little bit better.
So is that a lack of discipline that comes into those?
No, again, it's not discipline. It's experience. You're expecting to have a combo block off to this guy, and then they blitz inside, and the guy you were going to combo to disappears to another spot, and somebody else shows up, and you got to be a good enough football player to come off the combo to a safety instead of a linebacker. Those kind of things happen over the course of a game. Now the false starts and things of that nature at key times, that's concerning to me, and we got to keep addressing that and make sure, you know, because they don't seem to be happening when everything's going smooth. They happen at key moments, and we got to make sure to fix that.
Coach, from your perspective, I know we've been talking about a lot of penalties and all hands on deck. For one, it feels like, you know, with a lot of the rotation, a lot of guys changing up with injuries, that's part of the challenge too. But from a coaching perspective, I'm not looking for the playbook or anything like that, but what's, you know, are there any drills you can run or any techniques that you're using to try to get over those mental stumps?
No, I think it's just keep practicing. Again, we can try to make practice a little more game-like. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but you have to do enough in practice to execute the plays you're putting in for the game on offense, to make sure that the guys know their scheme and know the adjustments depending on what we're going to get. If you try to run all those reps 100 miles an hour, you're going to kill your guys. So we just have to be smart about making sure they know their stuff and getting enough game speed reps to make sure that they're ready to not just execute it, but execute it well.
So, and it's that challenge then of balancing health with trying to get maximized experience in practice before game day, I guess is what we're hearing.
Yeah, but that's it's not unique to us. That's football in general. You know, having just come from the NFL, they have more walkthroughs than they do practice plays. But a lot of those guys have been playing football for a long time, and you can just get sitting in a meeting room and say, hey, we're altering this and changing this, and you're gonna run this route on this play, and they write it down and they're good. We have a team that needs more reps than that. But again, you can't take 300 reps of practice on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, or you won't be able to run on Saturdays. So it's growth, and we're gonna try to be as smart with it as we can.
After watching the film, do you feel like your receivers are getting enough separation against opposing coverages, and how do you try to maybe scheme guys open and make things more consistently explosive in the pass game?
But I think that's the big thing right now is we're really good sometimes. We throw to the right guy sometimes. We block really well sometimes. We run the route precisely sometimes, and we catch it sometimes. And defensively was good, but we busted a couple coverages, so we're in the right coverage sometimes. And that needs to be most of the time or all the time, and then we become really good. But again, that's a process.
Coach, you have Rich Rodriguez coming to town this week, same position as you, returning to an old team. Just what's it like to have I guess, another kindred spirit coaching against you this weekend?
Well, first thing I want to say about Coach Rodriguez is after what happened with Coach Clark passing away, man, I got a big envelope of letters from I think everybody in their athletic department, individually written and signed, and I think that speaks to the class of who Coach Rodriguez is, and obviously the people in that athletic department too. So I want to say thank you for that. We received a lot of notes and messages, but I opened the envelope and all the cards fell out, and it's a lot of them. And I thought that was a really high character thing to do.
Coach, this past weekend with Cam Fancher out there, he basically looked like Houdini on some of those plays, getting out of avoiding the sack and things like that. What were you seeing out there from him?
You know, in the course of a game, you can scheme everything up and try to hit as much as you can based off the plays you design. But you know, there's going to be 5 or 6, sometimes 3, sometimes 10 plays that break down, and you have a quarterback that can turn those plays into good plays. Then you extend drives, and that makes you even better. Thought he did a great job of that. There shouldn't have been as much running around as he had to do Saturday. If we protect a little better, get balls off on time, run a little cleaner routes. You know, I don't want a quarterback looking like Fran Tarkenton back there and running around. We got to be a little better and more precise with our execution, so that only has to happen once in a while. But I thought he played tough and did a good job with that.
Carter Miller the other day at center, there's some uncharacteristic things from him, the penalties, the low snaps, and just kind of an off game for them, or was Cincinnati kind of doing something to throw him off?
You know, they had a really good player lined up, head up with him at nose, and I don't know, he was in a battle, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it. There were a couple snaps that were off, and we haven't had that problem all through spring ball, fall camp, into this point in the season. So we'll talk to him about it, but I don't want to make something that's not a thing either. But those can hurt you, and we had a couple broken plays because of it.
What have you thought about his game this entire season, though? He's been pretty solid, though.
Carter's great. You know, we have 70 new players. I think the coaching staff and recruiting department did a great job bringing guys in. Again, we leaned on talent, maybe over experience, because that's what we could get. I think we have a lot of talented guys. Carter is a guy definitely that we're really glad to have here, and he's one of the bell cows of what we're trying to do on offense, and hopefully will be for a while.
Coaches, obviously you guys have had a positive mindset just after last game. Just more specifically, what's kind of the overall message you're sending to the team leading up to the game against West Virginia?
We just got to play our best. We got to play 4 quarters, and the guys have been close now a few weeks in a row and had opportunities 3 weeks in a row. We got to capitalize on it. And what happened in the first 3 weeks didn't affect the next 3, and what happened in the last 3 won't affect the next 3. So we're a 500 football team right now. We got a chance this week to try to be 1 over 500 if we play well, and that's what we need to focus on, doing little things a little better this week and trying to improve.
Coach, going back to the quarterbacks, you mentioned a little while ago that felt like a revolving door between all the injuries. Now going into this week, after seeing both Taven Jackson and Cam Fancher get real playing time and being able to establish themselves on the field, is it going to feel a little bit different kind of choosing quarterback than, say, against Jacksonville State?
Well, this is the first time we've kind of had both those two guys since game one, since the first quarter and a half, I guess, of game one. Both guys healthy, and I think you guys can see now through limited reps compared to what we've seen, what we thought coming out of camp. Both guys do some things really well and are good enough to help us win if we play well around them and execute well. So again, we'll let them compete in practice this week, and it'll probably be a coach's decision.
Scott, with having so many injuries at quarterback and rotating guys, have you guys found yourself having to limit your playbook a little bit, or are you still pretty much giving everything open for everyone? They're just not able to handle it.
With the relative inexperience in the scheme with everybody in our program, this is year one for everybody in our scheme, offensively and defensively. We're trying to limit the total number of plays we go into a game with a little bit. The biggest difference to me is just the inability to really make adjustments, and that'll come. But some of the concepts that we have, that we should be able to run out of any formation against anything. It should be a go over to the sideline and tell them, instead of running this, we're running this, or we're running the same thing out of this formation, and it ought to be done. But we're still growing in that, and that's typical year one stuff.
You loosely referred to it earlier here, Coach, but with the pass game, had nearly 40 minutes of time of possession. What challenge does that bring as you're coaching through that, now that you've seen the film and all of that, and what's some of the stuff you can take perhaps maybe to apply to the next week?
We have to not make critical errors on drives that stop drives, and we did that several times. And then, if you watch Cincinnati and as aggressive as they are, when the game's tight, other teams hit big plays on them, and we didn't hit enough explosives. We had opportunities to. We hit one explosive and we're lined up wrong. Like, we dropped the ball. We had a deep ball that was wide open, and we kind of underthrew it a little bit. After they got up 14 points, we weren't going to get behind them as much, and then we just kind of had to earn it. But the week before, KU, or 2 weeks before, KU hit a 93-yard pass and a 75-yard pass, and we had our chances to do that, and we didn't connect on them, which meant we had to sustain drives, and we did that until we didn't. And it's got to be more consistency and a little more explosiveness.
Stacey Gage saw some action in this one. What does he bring to your offense?
He brings depth. He's a really talented player. He's growing up too, and we got to make sure that he's doing the right thing with exactly the right technique all the time. But again, that's not unique to him. That's kind of who our team at least was at the start of the season. Is a lot of young guys with some talent that are learning how to do this the right way, and Stacey will continue to get better.
What does he bring different than Miles, Jake?
I really like our running back room. Miles is a warrior. Jaden's been huge for us with some of the big plays that he's able to create. Stacey's a little bigger and more powerful, but kind of the same type of back as the other two.
Coach, Jaden Williams has been out now for a couple of weeks. You're just able to give us an update on his status and other players that have just been looking at as far as
Jaden had a broken thumb, and they fixed it surgically, and the surgery failed on him, and so he had to go back in and get a pin in his thumb. It'll probably be another couple weeks is the last report that I got. So he's got to get the pin out of his thumb, and then I think he'll hopefully be able to come back and help us.
West Virginia, like you guys, has overturned virtually its entire roster. They've also had a lot of injuries throughout the course of the season. What are you noticing on film about what they do well and how they've adapted to all the things that have happened in their season?
Well, offensively, I know it's been said a lot, but I think Rich Rod was one of the guys that kind of changed what college football looks like. I was around Chip Kelly, and I don't think he gets enough credit for how college football and offenses have changed, and that's leaked into all levels of college football. But Coach Rodriguez is definitely one of those. I know they're going to be creative on that side of the ball. Defensively, I think they're blitzing, according to our report, 61% of the time. So we got to have answers for all that, and they're really mixing up looks and not staying in anything so that you can't really dial them in. And that presents challenges for us. Probably presents challenges for them too, to make sure they can get all that lined up to formations and tempo and everything. So it'll be an interesting chess match.
how important is this game to just have a breakthrough and get a win? You know, they're going through a similar rebuild like you are, but you know, 3 losses now. You know, the players, you say the fight is still there, but this is a really important game to turn the corner this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can keep trying to put more emphasis on one than any other, and that's not the way we're going to look at it around here. We got to practice well this week, get a little bit better, and then take a chance to win another game. And it's going to be the same every week. We got to practice well, install well tonight, practice well on Tuesday, practice well on Wednesday. I think we got a good opportunity this week, just like we've had the last 3 weeks, and we need to cash in on one. And I think once we get one here in conference, I think the confidence will blossom. But you know, I don't care what happened here before or anywhere else. This team isn't going to quit. They're going to keep going, and I think you'll see that Saturday.
Couple more.
With this Saturday being the homecoming game for UCF against West Virginia, I mean, what does that mean for you, especially with this being sort of a homecoming for you back at UCF?
Yeah, homecomings are great. They're even better if you can win the game. But I know it means a lot on campus, and you know, hopefully there's some guys that come back and are proud of the program, and hopefully there's some guys that I coached several years ago that I get to say hi to. It's a special weekend.
Coach, midway through the full season, 3 games into the conference season, what's been the biggest adjustment for you in Big 12 play?
Yeah, I don't see it any different than the first 3 games. It's just based on opponent and us making decisions to try to put the players in the best place to have a chance to win each game. And said this a bunch, but I think this league's really even. I think there's a lot of parity. I think any week if we play well, we can have a chance to win, and if we don't play well, we probably won't. But that's not any different than our first 3 games. And if we play a little better the last few weeks, we probably have a good chance of having a little different record right now, but we can change that this week.
Scott, what stood out to you about your defense so far through the first half of the season? I mean, they seem to be the group that seems to really have kind of gelled quickly through the first half.
Yeah, anytime you have a lot of new, I think defense can usually get ready quicker. I think that's been the case. We have some special players on defense, and I was really impressed Saturday with the fight. You know, we busted a couple coverages, otherwise they didn't do a whole lot on us, and we need to fix that. I think our defense can go from being really good to elite if we are a little more consistent and don't have the breakdown. But you're going to talk to Nigel Lee. We have some special players on that side of the ball that can make special plays. I think the fight was really evident. Even at the end of the game, we were down 9, and you know, game was probably out of reach at that point, and we still got to stop. And I think that says a lot about how hard those guys are playing and fighting for each other.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.